say.
That slows down legal processes too,
Absolutely.
because you're waiting.
Well, the biggest thing is with the families and the general public is when an autopsy is done. And what we have begun doing, and it took me several years to get this down, but with a forensic pathologist, because of their special training, they are also experts at determining manner of death by just doing autopsies. And because of that, and because everybody that does our autopsies here, in 90% of the cases, when an autopsy is done, they can sign a cause of death on the death certificate at the end of that autopsy instead of waiting for everything to come back. Because in a normal autopsy, they prepare tissue for viewing under the microscope. They send, all toxicology goes out to Atlanta to the lab. Something that we do here at the hospital, if, you know, we can tell you within a couple of hours what's in the person's system, drug-wise and alcohol-wise. But if you want it quantitative, it's 2 weeks, bare minimum 2 weeks. When you send it off, that's how long it takes the lab to quantitate it and get it back to you. And they'll call you and get it back to you over the phone, and then you usually wait another 3 or 4 weeks for the hard copy to catch up with you. But what we're able to do now is, instead of the death certificate, you have to have a death certificate to do anything when you settle in someone's demise. And what we're trying to do on most of our cases is the pathologist will sign out that death immediately as what he finds at autopsy. And so far it's been pretty good. We've had a couple come back when they look at things microscopically. Something may change, but the manner never does. And as far as cause, it may be a different cause because they see something in the microscope that they couldn't see with the naked eye, or they come back loaded up with a drug of some sort in their system, and we have to look at suicide instead of accidental or something like that. But that's very few and far between, but we're still getting this, usually in about 7 days turnaround time. I don't know how many of you know it, but all death certificates have gone computerized now, so talking about a pain. God, but, anyway, you can actually, a normal death without an autopsy, get a death certificate, a completed certified death certificate in 3 days now. So that's on the best case scenario. Yes, ma'am.
Is the Atlanta lab the only one available to us? Or
No,
is
ma'am.
in the south, the east?
There's probably 500.
Okay.
They're the cheapest.
Okay.
We have on occasion, you pay for what you get, but we have on occasion sent to a lab up in Cincinnati will promise us a 3 or 4 week turnaround time for hard copy paperwork.
Mm-hmm.
And on occasion there's a necessity to do that, but we try to send everything, stay within our means, and send it up there. So.
If that were something the family chose to do, could they pay that
Yes,
and
ma'am.
send it and do it
Yes,
quicker?
ma'am. And we give everybody the opportunity. We would honestly like to do autopsies on every death we handle. Number one, great information for the families, especially if we find something that, you know, they need to know for a brother or a sister or one of their children, you know, but we can't afford to do it. So a lot of times the family will want an autopsy after we say, well, there's really no need for us to do an autopsy. We give them the opportunity to pay for it themselves, and it's $2,300 is what they quote them. Sometimes it comes in a little less, but we do give them the opportunity to pay for that themselves, and some of them do. So that's just, we try to, you know, if a family really wants an autopsy, we'll try to come up with a reason to do it. But there has to be some kind of suspicion or something there to give us the say so, that, hey, this is what we need to do.
So who pays that $2,300?
We do.
Out of our taxes, where does that come from?
Our price, the county price isn't $2,300.
Okay.
Probably $1,500 is what the county
Okay.
price is, and it's, that's part of the medical examiner's budget.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Are y'all involved at all, or your office, with organ donation? Are you a part of that if someone has set that up?
We are, I am a big supporter of organ tissue donation. When all this came about, and it started becoming a big thing to do, you know, you had the ability to contact people about, look, I've got a body here that may be suitable for some type of donation, you may want to follow up on it. It's federal law now that the hospital, us, and anybody else that deals with the deceased have to notify an agency that handles organ procurement and donation, and they will contact the family at some point. And what we have to provide them when we contact them is the next of kin and contact information for the next of kin. And then they'll call the next of kin, talk to them about the possibility of them being a bone tissue. Most of the people that we deal with, the only thing you can get are eyes, bone, tissue, and heart valves, period.
What is the time period after someone
4
passes
hours.
away?
Have to be in a cooler within 4 hours of death. And, but we don't get in to what the limits are, because I told my people, call, let the organ procurement network throw them out. So that way, we call on everybody that we handle. I don't care if they're 100 years old or 1 day old. We call, that way we're not missing anybody, and they can't come back and say, well, you know, you should have called on this and you didn't. So, but I do support that wholeheartedly. It's just, if you sign your driver's license and you get a little heart put on your driver's license or one little check, that don't mean a hill of beans about anything. You need to let your next of kin know that that's what your wishes are, because that's who's going to make the decision. Now, when I was on the National Committee for Organ and Tissue Donation, I went and had a law going through the House and Senate to make, if it was on your driver's license, they could collect organs and tissue or whatever they could use. But then the organ and tissue people started fighting me on it, because they didn't want the families to get mad at them when they took the stuff against their wishes. I said, but it's not the families. It's a lot of persons making a conscious decision about what they want to do, but they won't support it. So.
When I was reading the article about the indigent fellow that didn't have the money to pay for his wife's burial, it also said that he was given the advice that he could give the body to science, and that way, I don't think it would be cremated and then something happened to it, because he didn't want her to be cremated. So they also have the option to do that, to give the body to science, or is that?
That has to be,
Was that the newscaster trying to make things sound better at the end?
that has to be set up prior to your demise. Now, on the other hand, we have a medical school here now. That medical school here are collecting bodies, and I think they go through 43 every 3 months.
Oh, for training, you mean for training?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So, and this is, they do use it for the same thing, an anatomical donation is made when it goes to MUSC. That's where they go to when you leave here, except they're doing it through the hospital. And the hospital have got a good bit of response, because now if it's an indigent cremation, we will ask the family, well, have you ever had any interest in this? Now what they do, they use the body for 3 months. And then they pay to have it cremated. They've got a contract with one of the local funeral homes. They pay to have it cremated, and then they return the cremains to the family. So it's a pretty interesting program. Now, if they're going to practice sewing things up and doing surgery, those bodies have to be frozen. If they're just going to do their regular class work with them in each, every group, I think it's a group of 2 soon-to-be doctors each have a body for their period of time that they're in that part of their class. So, but they in the new building at the hospital, they've got a whole room, and I mean, there's just 10 cabinets everywhere, and they have bodies in them, and that's what they do.
I mean, there's a possibility that if it was local, it could be someone you knew. I mean, it could be your neighbor,
Yeah,
right?
definitely. But most of the students are not from here,
It's Aunt Sue.
are not local. So that's,
Yeah, Bob Jones University now has an undergraduate
mhm,
class that
yeah.
has a cadaver.
And see, all of these programs, Clemson, Upstate, all of them, they had to come up with feeder programs for the new medical school. So it's really going to be something when the whole thing's up and running.
Wow.
So, any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
So you were saying, even if you're an old person, you still recommend donating?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
You mean after death?
Yes,
Oh.
ma'am. But if
If
you,
you are, if you had I had an aunt who was kept on life support,
yes, ma'am.
so they finally donated both her kidneys. She was in the hospital when she had cerebral
Yes, ma'am.
hemorrhage. So that's the reason they were able to keep her body alive.
Right,
So they were able to donate both kidneys.
right.
But you talk about after people die.
Mhm.
So what is the benefit, or what organs are able to be donated?
Long bones, tissue, heart valves, and eyes. That is a deceased person. Now, all the organs that they transplant right now are, have to be on the vent and kept alive. See, we ran into
Yeah, we're done with lunch now.
5 years ago, we had a doctor come in and pronounce death on a person that had been involved in, actually, it was a fall off the same waterfall that the man fell off of this weekend. And he and his 5-year-old daughter pronounced the person dead, and then they didn't unconnect the machines for 4 days. Because it took that long to get a team here from Charleston. That's
Oh, I
where-
see, yeah. I
And
remember that situation
so-
too.
The question was, is it when the doctor pronounces the person brain dead, or is it when they unhook the machines for time of death? And we ran into a situation, this person's insurance lapsed right in the middle of that. So, you know, that's, it was crazy, but now we go by the time that the doctor pronounces brain death. That's the
So what did they decide?
time the doctor pronounces brain death. That's
Well, it's also critical if it's a suicide for insurance, so that's why they have to do.
for 2 years. Most policies have a 2-year rider. If you're going to kill yourself and go out and buy a $100,000 life insurance policy and you kill yourself within 2 years, it doesn't pay off. Now, I had an interesting case several years ago where a man went into business with 3 other men, and they made wiring harnesses for textile machinery. And it was 2 local men and 2 men from China were the partners. And each of them had to go get a $2 million life insurance policy for the business. So they all did. Well, the problem was they didn't check up to see who the beneficiaries were on the life insurance policies. So I had a man that went out and they closed a tremendous deal. All 4 partners were here. They went out and got pleasantly intoxicated. My victim drives home, pulls in the garage, driving his Mercedes convertible sports car, and when he pulls in the garage, he passes out. His garage door is timed. 15 minutes, the garage door closes. He dies of carbon monoxide poisoning. Young man, I think he was 28 years old. So, looking through the house, all this business stuff was there. All 3 of his partners came to the house the day we found him deceased. They had actually been looking for him because he didn't show up for a meeting the next day. And came to the house, they said, well, he's got a life insurance policy here somewhere. I said, there's a life insurance policy in there on the table. And so they went and looked. Sure enough, that was the life insurance policy. Well, he put his girlfriend down as the beneficiary. And she worked at the Huddle House on White Horse Road. So,
They had 94.
we actually went to the Huddle House on White Horse Road to tell her not only did it pay off $2 million, it paid off $4 million because we ruled it as accidental. And she was a happy young lady. But the insurance company and these partners, they went crazy. I mean, they were all over us. I said, look, we have to rule it like it is. And I said, you know, this is going to be an accidental situation all day long. Oh, at least make it suicide so nobody gets the money. Oh, no.
Oh my goodness.
And it actually went to federal court, and Judge Cato over in Anderson told the people when they got there, said, look, there's nobody that can change a coroner's ruling on manner of death, and period. So it stood, and I'm sure the young lady's not working today.
Always be nice to your customers.
But I'll bet you almost needed your gun with the partners.
You know, I really felt bad for them because
So they could pay the premiums, they were the owner of the policy, but not.
Well, they should have been more
Somebody messed
careful.
up.
it hurt the company bad. So, but I guarantee you, from now on, they'll check their policies and stuff. So. But it's
Well, better than him being married and it didn't go to his wife.
yeah, we've had a few of those too. We actually had a man that had 3 wives. All legal wives. I mean, as far as paperwork goes for a marriage, you know, that it's not legal to have that many wives in South Carolina. He was married to 3 ladies, and each lived in a different area. So he was a traveling businessman. We thought it was bad when 2 showed up, but when the 3rd got there, that's when we like probate court. Y'all got to go to probate. We don't have anything to do with it.
That was a cat.
I bet you enjoyed
Really?
coaching the football after all.
Yeah.
You understand that as an outlet.
You know, it's funny. My son's 27, and I have a daughter that's 17 and a daughter that is 14. And man, I'd take 10 more boys to those 2 girls.
You're talking to ladies here.
Getting out there with those young men on the football field, and they just sit there and look at you, and you're sitting there trying to explain something to you, and you know that in their head they're saying, I sure wish you'd hurry up talking, because I'm gonna do this my own way anyway. It's interesting, especially the less fortunate kids that get out there and man, they try their darndest to make things work like it's supposed to, and a lot of them don't have a bit of ability, but they're out there trying and putting 100% in. You look at somebody over here that has all the ability in the world, and you just want to go strangle him and take what he's got and give to this guy over here that's really trying. But yeah, that is my release. You know, if you follow any of TR's football, we haven't had any ability in probably 20 years. I've been dealing with the D team and the C team, which is the 8th, 9th, 10th graders, and they just have tremendous ability. I just don't know what happens to them when they get you get to looking at the varsity coach and say, something's wrong here, you know? Any other questions or anything? Thank y'all for inviting me.
Thank you. We want to give you this little memento of your day with us, and we appreciate you being here. That was very interesting, and maybe that's what I need to do, is donate my body to science. Maybe they can figure it out. I haven't quite done that. Oh, goodness. Our next meeting is going to be Monday. We're back to Mondays now. The holidays are over. So it'll be Monday, March the 18th. And Jill Kente will be with us, and she's a county treasurer, so she will be with us, and she's a member of our club, so that will be very interesting, and I hope all of you will come and support Jill. Anything else we haven't talked about or need to talk about? Oh, this isn't Republican, but there is going to be that, I don't know what you call it, gathering at County Square on Saturday. This Saturday at 10 o'clock, just talking about Obamacare and nullification and gun control and a lot of different things that you might be interested in. So I encourage you to go out and support that cause.
Rally for resistance or something?
Yeah, yeah. And boy, we need to resist something around here, don't we? And you know, we can get on a pedestal about that, but a soapbox about that, but you know, this might be, a lot of people are frustrated now after November and they think, well, we don't need to support our local clubs, but this is even more of a time that we need to be coming and supporting our clubs and our people that work for us, whether it be, you know, county or city or state or whatever. We need to support those people and make sure they know how we feel. So I encourage you to keep coming every month and inviting someone to come with you. Anything else? Is that?
Precinct reorganization is March 25th, which is a Monday night, a week after our meeting.
March 25th.
And then the county convention is April 20th. So I would like to encourage everyone to attend your precinct and then plan to go to the county convention.
Precinct reorganization is March the 25th, and that's
at your local polling place.
Yeah, on Monday night, and then April the 20th. Do we know where the county TD Center? Okay, so that's the Greenville County.
That's a Saturday. That will be a morning.
9 a.m.
Yeah, it's usually till about 1 o'clock or so.
Tell us the date of that. Was April
20th
20th. Okay.
on Saturday.
Okay.
Anna, did you have something?
Yes, I just want to let y'all know I was elected Secretary of Upstate Young Republicans.
Oh,
and
yay.
So we're going to hear more about our Young Republicans. So if you know anyone interested in joining, please let me know, or ask them just to add on Facebook Upstate Young Republicans. That is our base, and we're meeting once a month, the first Thursday evening at Denny's on Wade Hampton, having speakers and whatnot, and we're also looking for associate members. Our member group is from age 18 to 40 plus 364 days. At 41, I guess your term is overly, I don't know. But at 41, you can be an associate member. So if anybody would like to support us, it is our associate members that help us to have different functions. Please also let me know.
All right. Thank you. You might be preaching to the choir here. We'll tell all our family. Well, that's great. Congratulations on that. I know you'll do a great job. Linda.
There's a training meeting for anybody that's a executive committee person or president of their precinct on March the 11th. Hopefully you've seen that on, I had an email on that. But that's really important to go if you are, because we're trying to get every precinct organized, and we need someone from that precinct to be at that meeting and be trained and pick up the packets for that, so we can have the reorg. So
Where is that located?
that is going to be at the Croc Center. The Croc Center, which is
March
over.
11th.
So if you would put that on your calendar, or if you know anybody in your precinct that needs to be jogged to go or whatever, if you would just make a call and give them that date, that would be good.
And you know, we're very fortunate in South Carolina to have good people work at the polls, but I was just reading this morning on the Fox News website about a little lady in Ohio that admitted that she voted 6 times. 6 times. So,
How in the world?
Did she tell how she did it?
well, she voted one time absentee, and then she voted, you know, there. And then she voted for her granddaughter. But her granddaughter said she could, and then some other people are at home that whether they live there or not.
But she thought all of this was legitimate.
Yeah, she said, well,
No
what's
fraud
wrong with
was
that?
committed.
Yeah.
That's what she's maintaining. Ridiculous.
Because she voted for actual people that hadn't voted. That
Whatever her thought process was, but that just shows how important it is for us to get involved, the honest people to do those things. And sometimes we're busy doing other things, but it's the honest people that have to get out there and get involved to make sure things are done right.
There is one other thing, I don't know if anybody's in District 17, but we do have to vote again in a general election, and that's going to be on March 12th.
And that will be,
District 20, only 17.
so that will be Mike Burns.
Mike Burns, and there's no candidate.
Oh, okay, so he
There's no
won the
candidate.
runoff between Chris Sullivan and Mike Burns, but now he will have to.
But it still will have to go to general election, we still have to have people voting, because someone could do a write-in. If somebody did a write-in, it could totally, you know,
That's
I
the
mean,
thing,
he's got to make
Got to
sure
win.
his people come back
Yeah.
and vote again. So we have
Good,
to
it's
vote.
District 17, if you know one in that area, you might want to be sure and remind them of that. And that date was March the 7th?
March the 12th.
March 12th, all right. Anything else for our club members to be notified about? If not, we'll adjourn, and I hope to see you next month on a Monday. Thank you.